and has a different value. I think on your notes it says 3.6a. It's not 3.6a. Make sure you change that to lesson 3.5, please, because this is 3.5. We're not using your book, though. Did everyone hear me? We're going to be doing a lot from worksheets for the next few days. But with this one, we're actually talking about the slopes of lines, okay? The slopes of lines. Guys, talk to me. When you hear the word slope, what do you guys think of? David, what do you think? Rise over run. All right, a lot of you think rise over run. Awesome. I like that. What else? Some other things. Now think slang. Like try to explain this to my 10-year-old. What would you say about slope of a line to a 10-year-old? She's obnoxious when it comes to math, so you got to be good, people. Make it so a kid understandable. All right, here. What do you think, Trevor?
It's like how steep a line is.
Yeah, the steepness. Maybe could we say the word slant, like the slant of a line? I'm trying to think for Emma, who doesn't love math, guys, you got to come up with good stuff because you probably will be tutoring her when she's younger, older. But with this one, it'd be like the slant, right? Like the slant of the line, the steepness of a line. Great. Any of your teachers ever use the delta symbols with you? They call it delta y over delta x, and that means the change in y over the change in what? The x, yep. So it's the change in y over the change in x. Now, that's used a lot, right? That's the rate of change. We use that a lot in physics or in chemistry, a lot of different sciences. It's a big deal. Now, where's slope used in the real world? When would slope be important in the real world?
Graphing information.
What?
Graphing
information. It's huge. I want to know like trends, right? I want to be able to describe, if I have a positive trend, that means I'm probably making money or something's going well. A positive trend in a bad way, like maybe a disease is increasing, so we're looking at the trend in the graph. So slopes of graphs, huge way of communicating things. What are other things for slopes? Hallie? That's an equation of a line, so I can use it to write equations of lines. Good. So the slope gives us the equations of lines. Practical things that we use for slope. Do any of you live in a house? Do you have a roof over your head? Do you think the slope of your roof has a reason? Can I tell you the number one reason for the slope on the roof? Moisture, snow, and rain. What if your house did not have a slanted roof? What would happen when we had rain like we did this weekend? The roof would collapse. All right, have you ever, some of you have been to the mountains, like you go to Rocky Mountains or places, or like in the Alps. Those of you who've gone to Europe, God bless you, I've never been there yet, but look at the slope of the roofs. How steep are those? Why do they need to it? Well, they want to use physics. Okay, sorry guys, I'm bringing in physics. But we want to use the pressure of the snow to go off the roof, so then it slides off. So I need to have a slanted slope, right, of a roof. That's why. That's why you hear stories of like Walmarts with their roofs collapsing, is because they have flat roofs on top. You need a little bit of a slope. Any of you guys snow ski? How do you think they classify what type diamonds you're on? Slope of it. It's like how steep, right? Now, understand, I've never snow skied. I was the closest to a first time ever in my life this summer going up a ski lift up some mountains, just look at the top of the mountains and see beautiful. And I'm sitting there the whole time going, people are nuts to do this the whole time. But like it's really the steepness of it, right? There's a difference between a slope on a bunny hill than that black diamond up there, right? Or those of they were even telling us like, oh yeah, you can off-roads. If you hike up to here, you can ski down this slope. And I'm like, who would hike up there first of all, but then ski down the slope? So slope's important. Any of you drive on roads? Are roads perfectly flat, or is there a slight slope to get the water to come on? How many of you ever driven where you saw a percent grade? That's slope. It's telling you, like truckers especially, like what year to be in and stuff, and like what to do so they don't burn out their brakes and cause an accident or go off the edge of a cliff. Not the nicest thing in the world, but that's all slope oriented. Now there's so many other things, but slope does matter. Now we get to do just the math side of things, right? But it doesn't mean that it's not important in the real world. Think about it just a little bit. All this little stuff we do in the big world still has lots of uses. And this is one of those times, some of you are going to really buck what I want to ask you to do. All right, you guys are with me on this? I'm warning you. I know some of you right now, like, I don't need anything, Mrs. Gregerson. Don't tell me the formula. I don't need it. You have to know the formula because you're going to do it in calculus as well. So your future depends on you knowing how to do this, all right? Even to get you through pre-cal, you've got to know this. So I need everyone to see if you remember the formula. And today, you want to write it down till it's perfectly memorized. With me on this? Easy points on the test. So when I talk about slope, we really remember a couple different ways that you did this, okay? Do you guys remember how you used to count it? Remember you would start and like, okay, I have a spot here. By the way, that's at what? -1, 2. And then we'd go over here and like, oh, look, here's another spot over here about at, isn't that about 6, 4? Isn't that what it looks like for you on that one? Remember you would just sit there and you'd count? You're like, okay, I got the 2 spots. I'd count up how many? 1, 2, and then I'd run to what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Do you remember you did that? You'd say the slope is 2/7. And I'm like, great, you can count. But what if you counted wrong or you counted the wrong direction? What if I did horizontal first and then I dropped down? With me? Like, it sounds really silly, but little errors like that you would do. So we're, as math teachers, we're like, come on, let's just have a formula and get it over with. That can be used by math, science, whatever. And that was the formula you guys memorized. But here was the thing. Remember, we always use 2 points. All right, those are not superscripts. That's not going x squared, y squared. That's going to be x1, y1, x2, y2, just like what we did with our distance and midpoint formulas, right? I'm sorry, I'm bringing back a lot of stuff from chapter 1 already. But with this, I want to be able to use any 2 points to do this. Now, here's one thing I want to learn, and maybe Jessica knows this. Why in the world did they pick the letter M for slope? I have no idea. Don't ask me, I have no idea. I thought it was a French thing, and then I got told by the French teachers it's not a French thing. So I have no idea. Because a French person was the one who came up with coordinate planes and everything. I'm like, hey, slope must be French. Nope, there's no reason why it's an M. So just know, slope, the letter M stands for slope. Don't know why they didn't use S. But remember, it's the change in y over the change of x. So remember we had the following, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. It is not a hard formula, but what always is on top? Y, and what's always on bottom? Now, a few people don't like it that way, and I'm okay with it. Is this also okay to do it this way? Can I go y minus y2 over x1 minus x2? Okay, here's the thing you need to remember. It really doesn't matter which one's which kind of gives us some flexibility behind some stuff. But here's what's important. The y2 and the x2 had to come from the same ordered pair. Your y1 and your x1, those have to be from the same ordered pair. If you flip-flop them around at all, if you put an addition sign, you totally will get the slope wrong and the formula won't work. So, for today, humor me. Use your slope formula for today, and then after that, you're home free. Sound like a fair humoring for one day? All right, so let's use this. I want to find the slopes of M of the 2 lines above using the slope formula, okay? Now, you're going to be asked to do the same thing on your homework. You're going to have all these lines drawn in a graph, and you're supposed to find the slope. Do not count. You've got to show me formula. You guys with me on that? You have to show, and I said, you're going to push me back on this because sometimes it's just so easier to count. You've got to show me your work. And reason why you're not going to like to hear this, it's because of pre-cal and calculus, your future classes, okay? So trust me on this. So on the first one, we're going to find line J. You just need any 2 points, because how many points do you need to determine a line, by the way? 2. So that's all I need for a slope, 2. 2 points. 2 points on a line give us so much information. So let's use the points that we have here. I'm going to use -1, 2, and 6, 4 for line J. That's hard to read there, but I think you guys probably can read it easier on your paper than here. So for line J, let's use those. I'm going to let this point be x2, y2, and I'm going to let this point be my x1, y1. Are you guys good with that? So here's our points. We have -1, 2, and then we had our, was it 6, 4 was the other one? All right, and then we had 6, 4. All right, and this would be my x2, y2, just so we can see it. This would be my x1, y1. And then we just have to put it in our slope formula. Here's our slope formula, y2 minus y1. Here's something you need to know about me and formulas. I love them. but when you write them down, your work doesn't go next to it. It goes straight below it, and you plug in exactly where it belongs. So y2 here is going to be at 4. y1 is going to be at 2. x2 is at 6 minus a negative 1. Parentheses really do help on this. Guys, what do we get on here? We get 2 over, did you guys get 2/7? Now, if that was not in simplest form, it would be considered incorrect. So always simplify your fractions, but leave it as a fraction. Do not give me decimal. Did everyone hear me? So our slope for this first one is 2/7. All right, now help me with line K, guys. Help me with line K. What would be the 2 easiest points to use for line K? Alec. Negative 4, 0 is called what on the line? You guys remember what that point's called? Close. It's not the y-intercept, it's which one? Yeah, that's going to be your x-intercept. But this one is which one? Keep going, you're good. Yeah, that's your y-intercept. You're fine. Be your y-intercept, right? All right, and here's one other word you got to know. Guys, what's that called? Origin. Don't forget that, because you're all supposed to know the origin has a point 0, 0, and it's something I assume that you know, but let's make sure we're on the same page. All right, so those are going to be my 2 points. If I know my x and y intercepts, aren't those the easiest ones to use? So we're going to use that. So I have my x-intercept is at negative 4, 0. My y-intercept is at 0, negative 4. Does it matter which one's point 1, point 2? No. So let's make sure, I'm going to do point 2 this time, and I'm going to do point 1 here, just to mess things up just a little bit. Doesn't matter which one. Do I want you to write your formula down, guys? Because really it's more me getting you to memorize your formula with this. So what do we have? Our y2 is 0. Our y1 is a negative 4. So guys, notice how do I plug that in? I use what? Parentheses, because I don't want to lose track of my negative signs, okay? Then I have my x2, which is negative 4, minus my x1, which is 0. All right, guys, we get 4 over negative 4. What does that give me? Yeah, so it's going to be negative 1, and I ran out of space, so I'm just going to go negative 1 right there. So m is negative 1. Or you can say negative 1 over 1, would I give you full credit? Yeah, because it's still in simplest form. Making sense. Guys, memories jarred? Yeah, pretty easy. All right, let's have a little bit of fun with this. You guys go ahead and solve for the slopes or all, like, do you like my 2 C's? Let's change that one to a D. Go ahead and find the slopes of these, showing your work, all right? Write down your what? Your formula, all right. And then we're not going to take a long time on these, but make sure you're on it, and I will work on them too. And just, notice I circled B for a reason. Did everyone get a positive? Our first slope is a positive 5 over 2. All right, next slope, I didn't quite finish on purpose because I want to talk to you about it. Guys, can I divide anything by 0? So a lot of times we say that's no solution, but that's not what we use it to describe with slopes. We say it's undefined. So anytime you get dividing by 0 with slope, that's an undefined slope. And then for C, did everyone get a negative 4/3? Again, if you left your answers as negative 8 over 6, I would count it wrong because you didn't simplify it all the way. And then 0 divided by any number is always what? Big pet peeve of mine is when people tell me 0 divided by negative 2 is undefined. Okay, remember 0 divided by anything is always 0. So those are valid slopes. Now let's talk about this real quick because you need to make sure you can identify things quickly. Guys, we talk about slopes of rising or falling lines, so of positive and negative lines. So if I have a rising line, let's say right here, here's my rising line. That's my rising line. What should my slope be? Positive or negative? Yeah, it should always be a positive value. So if you see a line that's going up and it's positive, and however you calculated a negative slope, did you do something wrong? Use the visual cues to help you know if you did it right or wrong. Now, obviously, when I have a falling line, this is when I probably should use my draw thing right here, right, guys? So I have my falling line. What's my slope going to be? From left to right, I'm dropping, so it's going to be what? Negative. So it's going to be negative. So remember, rising line slope is positive, falling line slope is negative. Okay. Now let's have a little more fun with this. Horizontal line. Okay, guys. Horizontal line. Use your arms real quick for me. Show me what a horizontal line would be. Good. I'm liking what I see. Yeah, it's a horizontal line. It's flat, right? So if I have a horizontal line, do I have any slope? No, for a horizontal line, my slope is 0 because it's flat. So your slope is always 0. Now, vertical line. Here's my vertical line. Guys, does that have a slope? It does, really, doesn't it? That's the steepest you're ever going to get. But what's the problem when I calculate it? Basically, it is so steep, I can't stop it, okay? Is basically what it is. It is undefined. It's undefinable how steep that is. Isn't that crazy? That's when we have our undefined values. So anytime you get undefined, guess what type of line you have to have? It's always going to be vertical. Those are those people, like we were talking about skiing. We were up there, and we were in the Jackson Hole area, and we went up this tram so we could be on top of this big, tall mountain, and it was all cool. And then people were like, yeah, you can ski off of this. And there was like this vertical drop of about 30 feet before they'd hit snow and keep going. And I'm like, and one of the kids goes, my mom's done that. And I'm thinking, your mom's braver than me, you know. But like, think about that. That's vertical. Those thrill seekers, you guys are amazing out there. Those of you who are going to turn into that person, great. Not me. All I think is broken ankle. That's all I could think of when I saw it. Like, I'm like, busted. But like, it's cool. But think about it. To me, that's an undefinable thing to jump off a cliff. That's straight down. So that's how I memorized what that was. Vertical lines, if I went off of that, undefinable to me. All right. What was that person doing? It's quirky little things like that is help you memorize it, so don't forget. All right, we need to talk about some other things that are real simple. Guys, what are parallel lines? Connor.
Coplanar lines that never intersect.
Oh, you mean coplanar lines, Connor? It's amazing, right? Connor, I'm so proud of you that you remember the word coplanar. Okay. People, do we need to know the difference between skew and parallel lines? Okay, just making sure. So when I draw parallel lines here, I should be able to do a decent job because we're on a plane. All right, so with this one, let's go A here. Let's go B. All right, we have our two lines. They're parallel. How do I mark parallel? How do I mark parallel on my lines? Arrows, right? Arrows. I'm getting like the visuals in the sky. All right, yeah, the arrows. Yeah, I know those are parallel. That means they will never intersect on that plane. So remember, what's going to be the reason if that's the case, what's so special about their slopes? Yeah, the slopes are equal. My friends, that's going to be key for a lot of times when we're writing equations of lines. Because I won't give you the slope, but I'll tell you another line that has that slope. I'll say like, oh, I want an equation of a line that's parallel to this one. And you'd be like, oh, they're equal. So if I know the slope of one, I know the slope of the other. So little things like that. The slopes are always equal. They have to have the same, I like the word you guys use, the same steepness, right? Trevor, I think you used it. They have to have the same slant, the same steepness. So they have to be equal to each other. But remember, we also have perpendicular, guys. Perpendicular lines intersect at what? Right angles. So that means here, let's just call this one M. Let's call this one N. All right. So we know line M is perpendicular to line N. Now, here's my thing. Is there any way that their slopes can be equal? No. In fact, I'm looking at this and I see one's negative and one's what? Positive. Now, it's a little bit different when you talk about vertical and horizontal lines, but the whole thing is if they're perpendicular, the slopes can't be the same. They can't be the same. The slopes have another relationship. Do you guys remember this from last year? The slopes are... This is something you're supposed to know. Opposite what? Reciprocals, right? They're negative reciprocals. Some people say opposite reciprocals. It's really is. What's a reciprocal do? They flip. So let's say if I have the slope of one is 4/5, notice how I say the slope of the other one's perpendicular. I go m subscript what? Perpendicular. I just have to flip over again, negative 5/4. Now, hint, hint, hint with this for just a moment. With this, scholarly friends, are vertical and horizontal lines perpendicular to each other? All right, so think about this. That means if perpendicular and horizontal lines, vertical lines, so here are my vertical. Okay, what's the slope of the vertical line? Undefined. And what's the slope of this one have to be? 0. If I have that, are they still perpendicular? They're still opposite reciprocals of each other because opposite of an undefined is going to still be undefined, or opposite of 0 is still 0. But don't forget, that means the same thing for when I have vertical and horizontal lines intersecting. Don't forget those are important. Now, why is this important? Again, I'm going to ask you to write equations of lines that are perpendicular to other ones, especially perpendicular bisectors of line segments. But this is, again, something that you need to know for your homework. It says, AB contains point 24 and 3, -2. So suppose that AB is parallel to CD. Find the slope of segment CD. I don't know any points on segment CD, but should I still be able to find its slope? Because the slopes of parallel lines are what? Equal. Exactly. So with this one here, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to do my slope formula here, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'm looking for, and I'm actually going to do a subscript like this, I'm looking for the slope of segment AB, but I can quickly calculate it, right? I'm going to go -2 minus 4 over 3 minus 2. Notice I don't sit there and take the time anymore to go x2, y2, y1, x1, y1. You should know how to do that. And we end up getting what, my friends? Yeah, so we got a negative, isn't that -6? Right, -6 over 1. So guys, what's the slope of segment CD? Careful, they're in parallel. Parallel for the first one, right? All right, so it's a -6. They're going to be the same when they're parallel. But, Allie, now I'm coming back to you, Allie. But suppose if they're perpendicular to each other, it's going to be what?
1/6.
Yeah, because if this is my slope of -AB, I know from my other one, my slope of segment CD, if they're perpendicular, is going to be a positive 1/6. Good job. So you need to know that. So what's your backside of your homework? Well, the first 8 problems on the backside of the worksheet, or the second page of the worksheet, is going to be a problem just like this. Here's the thing. This is how I grade this. This is how I grade it on a quiz coming up next week, okay? The way I grade this is I literally will go, did they calculate the first slope right? Did they calculate the second slope right? So you get graded on your calculations of slope. And then I want your answer. Are they parallel, perpendicular, neither? Based off of it, okay? So it's really 3 points per problem. So that means, do you have to have things in simplest form? Do you have to have your work shown correctly? Yes. So on this first one, it says, I'm given points A, B, C, and D. Determine whether line AB and line CD are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Well, I didn't do a great job of showing enough work right here, but can we do quick calculations for these? All right, I'm not writing the formula down to save a space. Are you guys okay with me taking a shortcut real quick? Most of you are like, yes. Okay, so let's do this one real quick. I'm looking for the slope of line AB. So I have a -1. Oops, I moved it on me when I didn't mean to. A -1 minus 7 over 8 minus 4. I got -8 over 4. What did you guys get for that? That equals a negative what? Equals a -2. So that's the slope for the first one. All right, now I need to find the slope of line CD. Notice again, I'm using a subscript way, so I know I can keep track of this. So I have here 1 minus a -2 over my x's, 6 minus 5. Did you guys get 3 over 1? Now here's my question. Are they parallel? Are they perpendicular? So in this case, it's what? Neither. Okay. Now, how about this one? Doing the same type of scenario. I want to find the slope of AB. Well, now this is really how, after today, when you don't have to write the formula down every single time, this is how I want work shown, really. Here I have 4 minus 2 over 10 minus 5. Did you guys get 2/5? Okay, good. And then we look for the same thing. I got my slope of line CD. I got -3 minus 2 over -4 minus, oops, I got my subtraction sign, minus a -6. So again, -5 over 2. Question, what is it? So they're going to be perpendicular. And you can use the symbols. Is that good with you guys to use the symbols? All right, now, because I care for you greatly, I'm actually going to start a problem for you from your homework, okay? This would be on the second page of your homework. I don't think I have the homework. Let me see if I have it on the other worksheet here real quick. See if I was a good teacher and actually put it on here. All right, on your worksheet. So guys, you're basically going to need to watch because you don't have this downloaded yet. All right, I want you to look at number 9. Hint of the day. 9, 10, and 11 are honors level questions. Something you might want to know for next week. Are you with me? Okay. So on this one it says find the value of A so that the line through 7, 1 and 4, 8 is parallel to the line through 2A and A negative 2. All right, now didn't we just talk about lines being parallel or perpendicular? So these 2 points are for one line, these 2 points are for the other line. But what's so special about my lines? They're parallel. So can I at least find the slope I need? Yeah, so I find the slope first that I need. So I'm going to go, okay, I'm going to use my first 2 ordered pairs. So I get 8 minus 1, hold on guys, over 4 minus 7. Did you guys get 7 over -3? Did you guys see that? All right. Now, how am I going to use that with my point 2A and A negative 2? What are you going to do, Cora?
Write down your
Emil Gemigolo, please go to Student Services.
Yeah, I wrote my equation. Guys, can I do the following? Can I go -2 minus A over A minus 2 equals 7 over -3? How do I solve when I have a proportion? Cross multiply. All right, we're going to stop there and you can do that on your own. Well, hopefully that will help you on those problems. Have a great day, friends. Good job.